Today we are sewing up one of these beauties together. Please meet the Compact Clutch Wallet. This is the latest sewing pattern that you can purchase on my website at sewyours.com. You are going to get the PDF file, the video today that you're watching right now with every step of the way. The PDF file includes written instructions for every single step along with color photographs. You're also going to get SVG and projector files with your purchase. So let's go over what the Compact Clutch Wallet has to offer. We've got 4 different exteriors, so let's go over those to start. First up, we've got our basic exterior panel. This is one piece of fabric that wraps around the wallet. We do recommend using a non-directional print for this wallet, in addition to non-fraying fabric for both your exterior and your lining. So for this one, I went with our Croc Pop in the color Cherry Bomb for my exterior. So you can see it just wraps right around the outside. You are going to need a 7.5-inch wallet frame that has the flip lock, which we now sell on our website. Everything to make this wallet can also be purchased on our website at sewyours.com. So this is the basic exterior. I'm loving this with the Croc vinyls. They look stunning on that wallet. Option number 2 here, you can make this with the top having an accent. It allows you to feature your personal bag tag or your handmade bag tag like we have on this one. And then we have our print right here. So this one is a directional fabric, but you can really get away with directional fabrics when they're florals because it doesn't look that bad from the back side. So here is the outside of this one. Another option for you is our two-tone. So we've got 2/3 of it. I recommend using a print and 1/3 a solid. So this is our caramel milled grain faux leather. And then this one is our rustic petals print. It is the Compact Clutch Wallet because it is so compact in design. Now, the one I have right here, this is my personal wallet that matches my Uptown Swing that I'm carrying in the caramel. So I've already got all of my stuff in here, and you can see it's still really thin. So that is why we're calling this the Compact Clutch Wallet. And lastly, one of my favorites, I think, is the 3-toned right here, if you want to call it 3-toned or 2-toned still. So the outsides, I recommend using a embossed or a print fabric here. The center is solid, so we've got our buttercup milled grain faux leather. The outsides, I want to call that flowery petals, flowery meadow. I can't remember the name of that print. My daughter picked out this combo and it's quite stunning. Let me show you a few of the others that our staff here at Sew Yours made, so that way we can give you some inspiration, and then we'll move on to what the lining has to offer in this wallet. Here we have Angie, and Angie made 2 because she loves these wallets. Or she said they're addicting, and they totally are addicting to make. I wish I could just sit here all day and make wallets just because they feel really rewarding. It's a quick sew. It takes about 2 to 3 hours from the time that you cut it out to a finished wallet. So they're really easy. Great sellers for shows, so you can have a whole bunch of these lined up on your booth, and I think they're going to sell like hotcakes, and you can keep the price point low because it doesn't take you long, and it's really a scrap buster. Lots of just of your smaller scraps to make up these wallets. So Angie did this one with the accent at the top and on the back, and gilded petals, I think that one's called. This is our navy Savannah suede, and she did the gold hardware. And for this one, she did the same thing. She did the 2-tone. This is our leopard in the black color. I don't remember the name of it, but it is out of stock right now. It is on reorder. We should have it within the next 30 days. So this one here was made by Sharon. So she went with a 3-toned one here. Really stunning, nice color blocking. Here is a 2-tone that Cheryl Ann made. Now, if you've watched my past videos recently, Cheryl Ann is a new bag maker, and she, this is her first wallet. She's only made the Kensley tote and the beach bag, my beach bag pattern, the Sun and Run tote. So she's only made those, and this is her first wallet. So she did a great job. So this is a beginner-friendly sewing pattern. I designed this sewing pattern all around our shipment that we just got in of our ripstop fabric. I knew that whenever I got the ripstop, I wanted to design a wallet pattern because ripstop is perfect for credit card slots. You don't get that bulk because ripstop is a relatively thin fabric. It's very durable. It's not going to rip, which is the reason they call it ripstop. So nice to work with, keeps the bulk down. It's waterproof, so that is a great thing. Another thing that is going to be great for ripstop is if you are making backpacks or larger bags. You can put this in the lining to keep it waterproof and also keep the weight down, because whenever you are making bigger bags and you've got fabrics like cotton that is also lined with a woven interfacing, eventually like the weight adds up on those bags. So if you want a thinner lining that is lightweight, you want to go with some ripstop. So we've got that in 14 colors for you now. So grab your ripstop in addition to your 7.5-inch wallet frames on our website, as well as all of your exterior fabrics, your zipper tape and your zipper pulls to make yours. Let's take a look now at the inside of the wallets so that way you can see what it has to offer. On this particular version, this is the simplified version, I'll call it. Here you get 10 credit card slots. You get a slip pocket behind that. That's great for receipts. You get a generous sized coin or zipper pouch right here for your change. And you also get a slip pocket right here for your cash. So that is the basic version. You do need non-fraying fabric because the binding right here on your exterior wraps around, and that is a raw edge. You are also going to need the non-fraying fabric for your lining. So ripstop is what I recommend, but you could use a waterproof canvas. Just make sure that your canvas that you select is non-fraying, because behind this piece right here, it is a raw edge. In addition, it is a raw edge along the zipper right here. So you want to select the appropriate fabric for your lining. Now let's show you the version that has all the bells and whistles inside. And this is the wallet that my daughter made, which I'm super proud of. My daughter's brand new at sewing. I've been trying to get her to sew for years, and she had no interest. But for some reason, she finally decided that she wanted to make her first purse, so she did make the Betsy Bowler bag. I'll put a picture here on the screen so you can see what she made. And now she's made her first wallet, and she did such a great job. I think she's a natural at it. She wasn't so loving the purse, probably because it was a little more complex for her first project, but she's got a little excitement now that she made the wallet because she loved it because it is a quick sew. It was relatively easy, and I think she's going to be making more of these. So this is hers. The outside, we went with the solid panel right here, rose gold hardware. And for the lining, we have our credit card security strap. So this can be cut whenever you are cutting your exterior, so it's all one piece. Or if you decide that you don't want this after you make it, you can simply cut that right off. The security strap just gives you that peace of mind that your credit cards are going to stay in. Now, I have tested this wallet without the credit card security strap, and you have to shake this bad boy a whole bunch of times while it's upside down for one of the cards to pop out. It takes a lot to actually get those cards to fall out. But like I said, you've got this here just for a peace of mind. You can have that in there. You can simply let it just lay flat here, because whenever you close that up, it's going to keep everything in place and not fall out. There's no need to have a snap here, but if you wanted to add your own snap, you could do that. You can also tuck this in to the last credit card slot right here if you want, so that way it's not flopping around, so that's an option. Angie made hers, and she used a little punch. Let me see which one is hers here. I've got so many wallets we've all made up. This one right here. So for Angie, she used a little punch and a hammer to make hers curved at the end. You could do a point, you could do an angle, whatever you want to do with that little end right there. So this is Angie's. And then we've also added on this version, which is an optional addition that I added here after we did all these other ones, is the option to have 2 additional credit card slots over here using clear vinyl. So that way you can have your ID here. I like to just carry my 2 most used cards right here on the outside. So that's the new addition. If you don't have the clear vinyl, you could simply cut your fabric the size of the clear vinyl on the fold, and then just create a slip pocket right there and omit the binding if you wanted to. So that way you just have 2 basic credit card slots there. So that is the compact clutch wallet on the inside. So just to review, you need a 7.5-inch wide flip lock wallet frame, which we carry on our website. An optional bag tag, either your personal or a handmade one, really does help to give this a little bit more character. You're going to need a number 3 zipper tape, which is what I recommend, or a number 5. We used a number 5 here because my daughter loved this zipper tape that we just got in. It is our pink metallic with iridescent coil. She had to use this one, and it matched perfectly with the pink ripstop here, and she went with rose gold hardware, and we've got one zipper pull. So you can see, very minimal hardware, great scrap buster. Quick to make, keeps your costs down. So if you are selling at shows, you can have a bunch of these wallets all stacked up in your booth. And it looks really enticing. People want to come in, flip through, look at the wallets. So I think this is going to be a great seller if you are selling at craft shows. All right, I've done enough talking. Let's jump in and start making up our compact clutch wallet. First up, we will take a look at all of the pattern pieces that make up your compact clutch wallet. On my left, I've got the exteriors laid out. On my right is my linings. Here's my hardware. So you will need the 7.5-inch wallet frame that has the flip block on it, which we sell on our website in 5 different finishes. A bag tag, whether it be your personal bag tag or your handmade bag tag. That is optional. You don't necessarily need it, but make sure you have that handy. I always forget mine if I don't lay it out. You're going to need number 3 zipper tape or number 5 zipper tape. Now, I do recommend number 3 over the number 5 if you can do it and you have it, because we want something that's less chunky, like more dainty inside. So unfortunately, for this particular lining right now, I don't have a gunmetal that corresponds really well. So I have chosen this one right here, which is a number 5, and I selected the smallest number 5 zipper pull that we carry. So I've got that there. Now, we did just release a bunch of zipper pulls on our website a couple of days ago that are in the number 3 size, which is perfect for this wallet. So I've pulled some of the daintiest ones that we have. One of my favorites is the twist one that's right here. It's very elegant. And then this one is perfect for the wallet. This is our crown one in the number 3. Really dainty. It's only, I think, 1 inch long. And here are some of the other ones, just so you guys can have a look at the zipper pulls that we carry in the number 3 that are perfect for this wallet. So over here, we have our exteriors. We've got different options for the different wallet styles that we are offering in the pattern. Your first option is going to be the basic one with the one full panel right here. So if you're making that version, you are going to need pattern piece A1, which is your exterior panel. I've got one cut out right here. Now, this is the version without the optional credit card security strap. So if you are doing the optional credit card security strap, you are going to tape that on to your pattern piece where the star matches up right here. So your fabric must be, if it is a semi-directional print, your fabric must be where this is the right side, and when you flipped it over, you have the back side, which is slightly upside down. So you would need to cut it like this with the security strap on the bottom left side, like the pattern piece is right here. Now, that is A1. Now, if you're doing version 2, if you want to call it, I can't remember in the pattern. I think this is technically option 1, so with or without the overlay here. But here is the next version with the overlay. So all you would need to do is cut your A1 and your A2, and that would be that option. I think I'm calling that option 1 now that I think about it. Option 2, and I've already sewn this one up for the written instructions so you guys can see it. But option 2, you will have B1 and B2 like I have right here. I'll tell you how I sewed that later. So that is going to be this version. Next, we have the option 3. So this is the 3 tone or the 2-tone with the accent in the center. So I've sewn this one up right here, again, without the security strap. If you're doing the security strap, which we will do in today's video. If you're making option 3, then you have C1, which is going to be on the left side. C2 is in the center, and C3 is on the right. So again, the C1 is going to have the optional credit card security strap cut out of it. So this is how it's going to look like. So if you had the bag open, and let's just pretend it's the 3-tone right here, this is what it's going to look like. This piece right here, the security strap, is right here on the bag. So that's why it's important, if you have a somewhat directional print, that you're cutting it from the top right here and your security strap at the bottom left. Right, we are going to move on to what we need for the lining. So we are going to make the version with all the bells and whistles. So we're going to do the security strap, and we're going to do the clear credit card slots with the binding at the top. So in order to make that, these are the pieces that you're going to need. And I'm going to start from the back and move forward. I think that'll make the most sense. So I kind of lay everything out how I'm going to be building it. It just makes it easier for my brain. So first up, you're going to need pattern piece D, 1 lining, which I have right here. Now this is pattern piece D as well. It's your stabilizer. You're not ironing the stabilizer to the lining. You will be ironing the stabilizer to your exterior once you construct that. And we are using a Decaville Heavy. That's all we need for stabilizer in this bag is 1 piece of Decaville Heavy. So these are both pattern piece D. So that is going to be this behind piece right here that's creating the entire lining of your wallet. So that's D. Let's look at our credit card slot section right here. So to build our credit card slots, we need G1, which is our credit card slot back piece, and that's behind these credit card slots right here. And then we need G2, which is our actual credit card slots. Now the pattern for G2, the pattern piece for G2 is just the size of 1 credit card slot, but it's easier and quicker if you have the length, and I would recommend cutting your lining first with the pattern piece G2, so you get 1 long piece, and then we will fold it in half lengthwise and top stitch along that edge. And then we will divide it up into 10 individual slots. So that's the way that I'd recommend doing it if you have that length of your fabric. But if you don't have the length, then you get the pattern piece for each individual credit card slot that you would fold and then top stitch each one to create 10. So G2, which is all of these guys right here. And G3 is our binding right here. Our binding is intentionally longer. We will trim that down later on from the back side. It's just so we have something to grab onto whenever we are sewing this on. So that is your credit card slots. Now let's move on to this side of the wallet, which is our zipper pocket, our cash slip pocket, and our 2 additional optional credit card slots. So you are going to need your zipper pocket piece. This is going to be raw edge right through here. So that's why it's important to have non-fraying fabric. This is pattern piece E, so your zipper pocket. I have placed a strip of double-sided tape along this edge right here, so you can get that done now. Now, if you're using the number 5 zipper tape, like I am, you will be cutting down on the line right here that says in the pattern piece for number 5, cut here. But if you are using a number 3 zipper tape, there will be a line that's a little bit higher. You'll want to cut that one instead of the number 5, because we need to allow the additional room for the number 5 zipper tape. That's why we cut down a little bit further. Otherwise, it's going to be sewn too close to the zipper teeth itself. So pattern piece E is our zipper pocket. And here is pattern piece F. This is our cash slip pocket. So ultimately, when we do this, we're just going to be folding it in half, meeting the short edges, short sides, and then we are going to top stitch along that top edge. So this is pattern piece F, and that will be sitting right on top of this guy, which we have right here. And then the next layer is going to be pattern piece H1, which is our clear credit card slots. We do carry clear vinyl on our website if you need some. All you need is this little bitty piece right here. And then we have our binding. So the binding right here, we've got that cut, that's H2. And I've already drawn a line down the center and put some double-sided tape along both sides of the line drawn, and we'll just bind that here in a little bit when we get that going. Now, if you want to skip the clear, but you still want 2 additional credit card slots, then just take pattern piece H1, cut it so that it is on the fold, so you'll get 1 bigger piece. And just like the credit card slot here, you'll just fold that, top stitch it, and call it a day. You don't need the binding unless you want to add the binding onto it. And that will be 2 additional credit card slots for you if you need it without the clear. So that is an option. But if you don't want any credit card slots here, just leave that off. And I've laid out some of the tools that you're going to need to make up your wallet. These are the ones I could think of off the top of my head. If we need anything additional, I'll point that out later in the video. So one of the most important things that you're going to need is a punch. So these I purchased on Amazon, but we will be carrying these in our store in the next 30 days. And that is to create this hole right here. So you look in your kit, which this is the kit right here that I have. And I find the one that is the closest size to this hole without being too large. So in this instance, I say in the pattern what the measurement is of this. I can't remember what it is, but it's in the supplies needed. So this one is a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to punch 2 times side by side to create the size that I need for the wallet frame. So you will need a punch and a hammer. It's also a good idea to have a mini self-healing cutting mat. I've got one right here. We sell these online. That way when you're doing your punching, you're not punching into your good cutting mat that you use for cutting out your pattern pieces. So I recommend having one of those. A air erasable pen, chalk pen. We have an extra fine line chalk pen for darker fabrics that we sell. I believe these are out of stock at the moment on our website, but we will be restocking these really soon. You'll also want a stiletto that's going to come in really handy, or an awl. We carry the awls on our website, and I use this whenever I am removing my clips when I'm sewing on the binding right here. I like to keep it nice and flat and just kind of hold that into place as I'm sewing along. So it's really handy to have a stiletto or an awl. You'll need a screwdriver to screw in the screws on your wallet frame. And if you want, you can add E6000 inside of your wallet frame here to glue that into place before you do your screws. Likewise, if you want to use Loctite on your screws to hold those in place, you can do that. I personally never have a problem with anything coming undone, but if you are selling your wallets, you might want to consider just adding that extra glue just to make sure nothing falls apart a year or 2 down the road. So you'll need the E6000 if you choose to do so. The double-sided tape for the parts that I show you there in the pattern. You'll need some vinyl clips over quilting clips, just because they don't leave indents like they do with the quilting clips. We have these on our website. I've got this out and I don't think I need it, so we're going to skip that. Yeah, I said the screwdriver, a pair of scissors, and a rotary cutter. Let's start by constructing our exterior. I will do a rundown on options 1, 2, and 3. This is pretty simple and straightforward. For option 1, without the accent at the top right here, you just cut out your fabric and skip ahead into the video where we attach the Decovil heavy to the back side. For option 2, with the accents, what you want to do is you are going to apply some double-sided tape along the back side of A2, remove the paper backing, and you are going to center it along the top edge right here. Please note that this is slightly longer than your pattern piece A1, so make sure that you get that centered, and then you will just trim away the excess after you've sewn it. So place your double-sided tape down, secure that into place when it's centered, and sew along this bottom raw edge at 1/8 of an inch. Make sure that you take your time and go slowly so you have nice top stitching. Then you'll come in and trim away all of that excess right here from A2. For option number 2, we have the two-tone. B1 and B2 placed right sides together, sew down the side at 3/8 of an inch. Turn your seam allowances to the opposite direction and sew down the seam here on the left and the right side at 1/8 of an inch top stitch. And that is this version right here. Lastly, we've got exterior option 3, which we are making in the video today. So here's the one that I sewed up for the pattern. So we're going to have C1, C2, and C3. And all you got to do on this one is take C1 and put it right sides together with C2, 3/8 of an inch. Then you can open this up, top stitch at 1/8 of an inch along both sides. Then take C2 and C3, right sides together, do the same thing, and top stitch. I've sewn all 3 pieces together and top stitched. From here, this is going to be the instructions for all options. Option 1, option 2, or option 3. Take your exterior, flip it wrong side up, and grab your quilting ruler. You're going to measure in 3/8 of an inch from each long raw side and draw a line with either your air erasable pen, a regular pen, it's fine since we're working on the wrong side, or your chalk pen. I unfortunately can't find my chalk pen at the moment, so I just used a regular pen. Hopefully you can see the line. So I just measured in 3/8 of an inch on both sides. You can better see it on this version right here. Then we want to grab our stabilizer, which is pattern piece D, our Decaville Heavy, and you want to place it in between the lines that you just drew. It's important that your stabilizer is in between the lines. If you need to shave down a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch from either side of your stabilizer, feel free to go ahead and do that, because this is basically the structure for the whole bag, and at the very end this is going to wrap around to create our binding. So you don't want this too big, or then your binding isn't going to be nice and even. So let's take this over to my heat press and get that ironed on into place, or you can take it over to your iron and press to secure. My Decaville is now pressed into place. Now if you're using a bag tag, this is where you're going to want to place it. I have provided the placement markings on pattern piece A1, which you can use for all versions, and just punch a little hole in the paper and then transfer that marking. All this is 1 1/2 inches down from the top center. So this is going to be the side opposite of the credit card security strap if you're using it. So we're going to install our bag tag now. And now I realized why I had my blade out. It's because I'm going to use it for installing my bag tag. So all I'm going to do is place my little cutting mat behind here and cut out my slits. Bag tag is installed, so we can set this aside for later. Let's work on our lining now, and I like to work with my credit card slots first to get that out of the way. That's the most time-consuming part of this wallet, but it's really easy to install. So I'm grabbing all of my pieces for my credit card slots, and we'll put these other pieces away. And I also wanted to point out before moving forward, I think I said it in the intro of the video, you could use heat transfer vinyl on the wrong side here of your credit card security strap if you wanted to keep it a little bit cleaner. Likewise, you could just cut another security strap. So let's just say, for example, if I had this same fabric right here, you could just put those wrong sides together and sew along the outside at 1/8 of an inch and have a finished strap, and then you could add some edge coating if you want around your edges. That's an option. I'm fine with it just being like this. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just wanted to point that out for you before we move on to our lining here. So for your credit card slots, you are going to need G1, G2, and G3. We're going to take G1 and G3, put them off to the side, and we are going to work on G2, our credit card slots. Like I said earlier, I've created one long piece that I will top stitch and then cut into 10 individual pieces. But if you're doing each individual credit card slot instead of the long piece, go right ahead and do that. It's the same process here. So I am just feeling my fabric to determine what is the right side and what's the wrong side. The texture on this particular one is my right side, and then the wrong side is a little bit more smooth. With the ripstop fabric, some of the ripstop can be a little bit more tacky on the wrong side, so that's another way to determine which one is your right side and which your wrong side. It also depends on the humidity levels and all that. The wrong side might be a little bit more tacky if you are more in a humid environment. So I just wanted to point that out. It is normal to have a little bit of tackiness on some of them. It just depends on your manufacturer. Let's take this and put this wrong sides together, folding it down the center length. Use our quilting clips or our vinyl clips and just press, finger press, fold, and clip into place. So I'm going to do that down the entire length of my credit card slots. Then I'm going to come in on my sewing machine and top stitch down the folded edge at 1/8 of an inch. I do recommend changing out your thread color if your lining is a different color than your exterior, which I will be doing. I've got my credit card slots top stitched now, and now all I need to do is cut them per the measurement in the pattern, which is also the same width as G1 right here. So I'll use my rotary cutter and trim that down to create 10 credit card slots. I have all 10 credit card slots cut and top stitched. Grab G1, which is your credit card slot back piece. Make sure that it is right side up, which I have right here. Grab pattern piece G1, and we are going to use this to make markings where we need to place our credit card slots. So have it slightly off-centered, or offset, I should say, and just transfer the markings. So I'm making just little dashes right here where all the lines are. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the opposite side. The top 2 credit card slot spacing is intentionally a little bit closer than the other ones, just in case you're doing any measurements. It is supposed to be like that. Now we grab our first credit card slot, and we are going to match that up with the bottom edge of the credit card. So if I were looking at this right here, and you're looking at your pattern piece, you've got a larger chunk right here, and then you've got your even spaced lines up here. So the larger chunk is at the bottom, and that's where I'm placing my first credit card slot right here. So grab your clips, and you're just going to clip the bottom one in place. And actually I need to clip it from the sides because I'll be sewing right here. So you're making sure that the top folded edge right here matches up with that first set of little dashes that you drew, which is this dashed line right here. Take this over to your sewing machine, and you are going to sew this with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just along this bottom edge. Now that that is sewn into place, we are going to remove our clips, flip the first credit card slot out of the way, grab the second credit card slot, and match it up with the second line, dashed lines. So right here, so this is what it looks like. Then I come in and clip the second one into place. Now while at your sewing machine, you're going to hold the first credit card slot out of the way and top stitch along the bottom edge right here at 1/8 of an inch to secure the second one into place. Once your second one is in place, you are going to continue the same exact process and add your next credit card slot. It may be a little confusing once you start putting them on, which lines that you're lining up with. So a little tip is to let those kind of lay flat. You can see the markings from the one you just sewn, and you could just slide that in and line up the next set of markings, which is right here. Then flip those out of the way, clip this into place, and top stitch along here. Continue to do that until you have all 10 credit card slots sewn to G1. Once you have a bunch of your credit card slots already sewn on, it can be helpful to just use a clip to keep those out of the way as you continue sewing. Credit card slots are now all secured into place. The next thing that we need to do is we need to sew down the sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew down the left side at 1/8 of an inch and sew down the right side at 1/4 of an inch. What you want to do is when you're sewing, you're going to actually turn this so that it's in this direction, so that when the presser foot is gliding over the credit card slots, you don't get them catching if you do it in the other direction. So this side, which is your left side, you can see the direction that I have this in, is 1/8 of an inch, and your right side is 1/4 of an inch. The left and the right sides are sewn. I'm just going to insert a business card here. That way you can see the direction that I have the credit card slots. We're going to grab our credit card slot binding piece, which is pattern piece G3. We are going to place this right sides together with the left side. Clip this into place, and you're going to sew down this side with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. After that's been sewn, you're going to flip your binding, wrapping it around the raw edges to bind. Make sure that that's held snug. And come in and you're going to top stitch along this edge right here at 1/4 of an inch. The left side is now bound. And we have the excess binding right here that we need to trim away. So just hold that up, get your scissors parallel basically with your workstation, and go across and cut close to the stitching. And there is the opposite side, which is going to be the slip pocket right here. This next step is super important. Otherwise, your credit cards are not going to fit properly inside of your credit card slots. We need to measure over from the bound edge 4¼ inches and trim off the excess. If you don't do this exactly at 4¼ inches, then your credit card slots are either going to be too big or too small, and then you'll get to the point where you're finishing up your wallet and you're going to cry because it doesn't fit right. So make sure that you do that. So the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to turn it, because I'm left-handed, so that the bound edge is here to my right. I think it's going to be the opposite for you. My brain doesn't work in right-hand mode. It's kind of funny whenever my daughter and I are sewing together and I'm trying to teach her, because she's right-handed, how different everything is. So I am measuring over 4¼ inches from the bound edge, which is on this side. And once that's precise right here, I'll use my rotary cutter to trim away the excess, which I think is like, I'm trimming away about 1/4 inch right here. So make sure that you get that trimmed appropriately. And there are my credit card slots, nice and clean on the one side. So we can set that aside. Let's move on to the left side of the wallet. So you'll need your number 3 zipper tape or number 5 and your zipper pull already installed. You are also going to need pattern piece E. And this one here, we've already got the double-sided tape along the wrong side here. Just remove the paper backing. And when your zipper is closed, just to show you, this is the right side up. You want your zipper closed to the left side right here. And I've removed that paper backing. My zipper, I just cut it intentionally longer. I like to do that. And I'm going to match up this top edge of the zipper tape right here. This is always harder to do when I have a camera over me and I'm trying to keep my head out of the way. And I'm going to come in and just make sure that's nice and even along the bottom edge of the zipper tape. That looks nice, and I want to make sure my pull is inside of this little window right here. Clip these little top sections in place. And take this over to your sewing machine. You're going to sew down the right side, the bottom side, and the left side at 1/8 inch. Once that is sewn, you are just going to flip this over and trim away any excess zipper, making sure that you're not cutting the zipper pocket itself. Just want to remove that extra bulk. So there is our zipper pocket. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to do our slip pocket. So I'm just going to move this off to the side. And then this is our slip pocket for our cash. So our cash slip pocket, pattern piece F. You're going to fold this wrong sides together, matching the short edges. And just so you could double check when you're folding that over, those are going to be the same widths as your zipper pocket. Come in and clip this into place along the folded edge and top stitch at 1/8 inch. My cash slip pocket is now top stitched. So from here, if you are not doing the clear credit card slots, what you're going to do is just place the cash slip pocket on top of your zipper pocket, and you're going to come in and base stitch around the left, the bottom, and the right sides at 1/8 inch. But if you are doing the clear credit card slots, or if you've chosen to just do your ripstop credit card slots, then we're going to hold off on doing that for the moment. What we want to do is we're going to grab our clear. So this is H1 and H2 are binding. We are going to remove the paper backing from the binding. Again, I drew a line down the center length, applied some double-sided tape along both sides of the line drawn, and we are going to carefully match this top edge of the clear credit card slots with the line drawn. I'm doing that off camera because I need to really be able to see, and that tape is really sticky. Once you kind of get that down, it's hard to get it back up. So let me get that centered. Okay, that is now centered, so we are going to just take and bind this over the edge. So just fold it right over. And bring this over to your sewing machine, and you are going to top stitch along this raw edge at 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to change out my thread color so it matches the metallic vinyl that I'm using right here, which I think I'm calling steel metallic. And I have chosen to do gray thread that we sell on our website. We have it in Tex 45. Can't remember if I have it in Tex 70 yet. And then for the pink, I've been using our blush colored Tex 45. Once you have bound your clear credit card slot, you want to find the bottom center. So I just folded that into half and trimmed a little notch there. I did the same thing with my cash slip pocket. It also made a little marking for the center top. We want to place the cash slip pocket on top of the, we want to place the credit card slots on top of the cash slip pocket. We are going to clip this into place. From here, we're going to take this over to our sewing machine, and we are going to sew a center seam right here to secure and to divide the credit card slots into two. So just sew right here, and make sure you backstitch really well a few times when you come to the vinyl because that is a stress point. Okay, the center is now sewn. I can't remember in the instructions if I have you base stitch along the outside edges now or in a moment. Either way is perfectly fine. You can do it beforehand. But now we just want to place the cash slip pocket, clear credit card slots on top of our zipper pocket piece, matching the bottom edges and the left and right edges. So this is what your unit should look like at this point. Now you are going to sew down the left, the bottom, and the right sides up to the point where the cash slip pocket is at 1/8 of an inch. Let's go ahead and do a recap on what we've done up until this point. We have built our credit card slots, which are right over here on the right-hand side. We have built our zipper pocket, our cash slip pocket, as well as our clear credit card slots. We have our lining piece right here, which is pattern piece D, and we have our exterior right here already built. So the next step is we are going to secure our zipper pocket to our pattern piece D, which is our lining piece. What we want to do is we're going to grab our quilting ruler and measure over 4 inches from this side right here and draw a line. After you've drawn that line 4 inches from this edge, you will place a strip of double-sided tape along the right side of the line that you drew. As I am doing this, I am recalling that I think in the pattern that I've already had you at this point, I sew on your credit card slot. So let's just get that done since that's basically the way it is in the pattern. I unfortunately don't have my computer with me today to refer to the pattern, so I'm kind of going off memory for all of this. But we're going to clip our credit card slots to the right side, matching up the edges, and we're going to base stitch this along the top edge, the right edge, and the bottom edge at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, the credit card slots and your receipt slip pocket right here are secured to your lining D piece. So now we can take our zipper pocket with all the other elements, and we're going to remove the paper backing here from the double-sided tape. And we're going to place these right sides together, matching this edge of the zipper tape with the line that we drew. So I'm just going to turn this so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to readjust this probably over at my sewing machine so it's a little more precise. It was just a little wonky because of the zipper pull the way it was. But now we want to take this over to our sewing machine, and I'm going to turn it this way. So this is what it's looking like. And I'm going to sew down this edge at 1/4 of an inch. Now that that is sewn into place, we're just going to flip this unit right side up, grab our clips, and measure or match up the edges right here so that they are perfectly aligned. So this is what it looks like from this point. Take this over to your sewing machine and sew down the outside edges at 1/8 of an inch. All right, our zipper pocket is now sewn into place. So there's our pocket. Then this is our cash slip pocket and our credit card slots. So our lining is now complete. And now we just need to put it all together. So we are on the home stretch. So grab your exterior piece, whether that's option 1, option 2, or option 3, like I've done right here. And it is important to have your placement just so, as I'm explaining here in the video. That way your credit card safety strap is in the right position. So take your lining and place that wrong sides together with your exterior, making sure that the lining is even with the Decaville Heavy right here. And the credit card security strap is obviously going to be over top of your credit card slot. So just so you can see the orientation here, just like that. And I'm just going to come in and match these up perfectly along the side. Over at your sewing machine, sew this into place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, that is now sewn into place. Now we want to match up the left side of the lining with the left side of the exterior. Now I've given you a little bit of grace room right here because if you have any kind of stretch to any of your fabrics, we want to just make sure that the lining and the exterior are taut together. So for me, I can see already that I have a little bit of extra here, likely. So I'm going to just make sure that I pull my lining taut with my exterior. We don't want any bowing here. So I'm looking at this and there is just a little bowing. So I have made it a little too tight. So just going to back that off. Okay, now you're going to come along this side and you're going to sew this into place at 1/8 of an inch. I've got just about a 1/16 of an inch here from the exterior and the Decaville Heavy peeking through. So I am just going to trim that off with my quilting ruler and my rotary cutter. All right, that is now cleaned up. So the next thing that we want to do is we are going to fold over the raw edges here of our exterior to bind the edges. And with that security strap, you're just going to fold it down. It's all one piece. Repeat for the opposite side. All right, the next step is we are going to come in and sew along the raw edge here of the exterior piece, that's the binding, at 1/8 of an inch. And repeat the same thing for the opposite side. And this is just a reminder to change your thread colors so that it matches the exterior fabric. All right, my wallet is now bound. So this is what my compact clutch wallet is looking like. Still got my tail long. I'll trim that down in a moment. So she is looking stunning. Now we need to add our hardware. So grab your glue if you've chosen to do glue, E6000 and or Loctite. I'm not doing it, so I'm going to skip that. But if you were to add the E6000, you're going to insert it inside of the channels right here and then add your screws. So all we have to do is we are going to punch our hole for the left side right here, which is the side that's going to be your front. So let me show you here, the front of the wallet. So grab your little cutting mat and you are going to slide on the hardware. So just get that nice and pushed in. That is what the side's going to look like. Grab your pen. I'm just going to use a regular pen right here. It's hard to see hard to go and trace over this clear, so you might find that it's easier to just do it from the side. So I am just tracing, and I can see right here the hole that I just traced. Grab your mat, grab your little punch, and we are going to place this, and I'm going to do this off camera, I think, because I can't. Let me move it closer to me and I can show you. All right, so I've got that placed along the left edge right there. Grab your hammer and give it a good whack. And take a look and see if you went all the way through. I'm just going to do one little whack there. And you can see that since my punch isn't exactly the same size, I just need to repeat this process. I'm just going to push out with my screwdriver there, the extra fabric. And bring this closer so I can see. that I've got this lined up right. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to repeat that again. It looks like I got it all the way through. Yep. So that is what the hole looks like. And if I grab the right piece here, the screws go on the inside. So the screw holes are on the inside. Let's just do a mock-up real quick. And that is a nice fit. There's a little bit of extra threads right there. I'm going to just take my scissors and cut that out of the way. You could also use your lighter and just sear it a little bit. Just be careful. Before we add our hardware piece here, we want to do a small row of stitching really close to this opening right here. And the reason that we need to do that is if we don't do that, then our change might fall in to this hole and get into the way. How do I know that? On the very first one that I made, I noticed that my change was trying to peek through that hole and got in the way of me closing my wallet. So we're just going to do a little row of stitching real close right here. Hopefully you can see the row of stitching real close to the hole. You want to keep it as close as possible so that way we don't see that when the hardware is on. So at this point, add your glue if you're doing it. Slide this over, making sure that your screws are on the lining side. And simply screw in all your screws. Now you're going to insert the opposite end just like this with the little flip block in the up position right here. All right, she is almost done. We just need to trim back our credit card security strap to the length or shape that we desire. So you can see here it's just a little bit longer. I do have this punch set right here that I could select one of the smaller ones to make a nice little design. I haven't actually ever used these punches just yet. But for me, I think I'm just going to cut her at an angle. So I'm just going to just free hand this. So that's how I want mine to be, right there. A little decorative. I could still tuck it in to that bottom credit card slot if I want to. This is a rewards card that I have in the pocket. So this is the extra space that you should have. So it looks like it's about 1/8 of an inch right there, almost 1/4 of an inch. All that's left to do is to close her up and admire all of your hard work. Give it a little crease here with your hand at the bottom to get her to fold. But see how slim that wallet is? Even with your credit cards and your cash and everything in there, it fits beautifully inside of your handbag. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments box below. Shop the sewing pattern as well as all of the supplies to make your very own compact clutch wallet or any other bag making projects on our website at sewyours.com. Thank you so much for sewing along with me. Now that I've sewn mine, it's time to sew yours.